You're good.
Perfect. All right. So thank you everyone for joining today. We're super excited to continue our customer forum web series. Today we're going to discuss compensation with Oracle, which is super exciting. And then the eVerge Live team is going to cover benefits and benefits open enrollment. We're just jumping into that time of the year again. And so we want to give you as many tools as possible to have the most successful end of year that you can. And so we're really excited to help everyone kind of get into that space. And so today, like I said, I'm going to just do a couple quick introductions to talk about the eVerge Live team that's going to be presenting today. Like I said, we're going to have Oracle. David Bowen is here with us today. And Dave O'Mara, Senior Director of Oracle HCM Cloud Product Strategy. They're going to be presenting today compensation. And then we're going to do some benefit highlights. We're going to talk about some new white papers that we're releasing in the next couple of days that'll be made available to everyone. And then we're going to cover a few of the 21C cloud application updates that we feel like are important that we wanted to highlight and make sure that you're aware of and that you're just keeping, top of mind. And then we're going to talk a little tiny bit about OHUG. We'll be attending this year, and then we'll close out and we'll take any kind of questions there might be at the end. Okay. So today's presenters, Beth Blom, she is our benefits specialist. Fantastic resource. A lot of you worked with her. For those of you that haven't, I'm really excited for you to hear her speak and to present her information today. She's a wonderful resource. Noj Chidi, if we can get your mic to work, Noj, we'll have you talk as well. He's going to talk about one of the white papers that we're presenting. Mohammed Al-Shenwai, he is going to be presenting some of the security pieces in 21C. And then if we can get Robert's mic to work, Robert Dupuy is going to talk about some of the HCL updates. Either way, we're going to jump in there and get started today. I'm really excited to have you guys, like I said. I'd like to introduce David Bowen. He's the Senior Director of Product Strategy for Oracle, and David O'Mara, he's the Senior Director of Oracle HCM Cloud Product Strategy. So David, if you just want to talk for a couple minutes, that'd be great. And then if you want to introduce Dave a little more, that'd be awesome too. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad Dave joined. Otherwise, you guys would have been stuck listening to me talk about compensation, and that probably would have been a short discussion. So, but yeah, we enjoy this opportunity to visit with customers and appreciate eVerge pulling you all together. If time permits, at the end, after Dave kind of goes over compensation, or when we're done with the benefits discussions that eVerge is going to lead, I could point out a couple other things that we are focused on that are kind of near and dear to what we're driving from a product development, product strategy perspective. But I think since we lured you in with a discussion about compensation, I will turn over to my colleague who joined us all the way from the UK today, Dave O'Mara.
Hi there. Hope you can hear me okay. I'm just
sounds good.
Screen. Cool.
Yeah, sounds good, Dave. Thank you.
Okay, good. It sort of blurred me and my microphone. David just sort of landed this on me recently, so I wasn't too sure, not having been to one, at what depth to go to. So I look after the strategy for comp and Ben, but I was just going to do a quick few things about what's coming down the line, maybe a little bit more detail than I would do normally, but I'll just do 2 or 3 things, maybe just to sort of show you what's coming. I don't want to take up your time. So I'll just do a quick run through. Let me see if can I share my screen? I'll try. See what happens.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah. Somebody else is sharing already.
So I'm going to stop sharing so you can.
Cool.
There you go.
Thank you. I'm just going to... okay, let's have a look. Share the screen. And if I can maximize that. Can you see that okay?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, cool. So how long have I got to talk? I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Up to 15 minutes or so, I guess.
Okay, well, I'll try and spin it out that long. Okay, so just looking forward to the compensation suite. I should say, some people don't know, but they should do. I guess that compensation is 3 parts. I see it's part of the core HR side, the compensation there. Then there's the workforce compensation side, which is which is actually part of talent at the moment, but that may be changing. And then there's the total compensation statement side. So I'm just going to look at those three aspects and just see what's some of the things that are coming. I can't say when they're coming, but they are, they're sort of coming soon, I guess. Please don't rely on them. I should have a sort of a safe harbor statement here, but I haven't got one. So what we're looking for, journeys is a big thing now in core HR and in HCM, and so we're just going to do some journey support. So you can now send people some checklist tasks as part of their journey when they get a new individual compensation allocation. For example, if an individual subscribes to a voluntary deduction, it sends them on a journey that can do checklists like a HR specialist, generate some sort of card or enables portal access, that sort of stuff. So that's one thing that's coming up. So I've actually changed the order of these, so it's slightly skew around, maybe the bigger ones. But I think one of the bigger ones is going to be total compensation statement feedback. So it's the opportunity to add in a sort of a survey, if you're using total compensation statement, to allow the employee to, you can figure what you want to put in here. There's an example we got here, like how would you rate this? And so it can be, people can be comp, or it could be the managers can look at the results. So it's more of a two-way thing. So I think this will be, people who are using total compensation statement will find this useful. Well, I'd be glad to get some feedback on that. We've got some total comp stock history categories available now in total comp, so a few extra additional columns. So I'm guessing some of this may not be relevant for some people, so please bear with me. It's just we're just expanding some of the usability here for the total comp statement. And we've also got some generate statements by manager hierarchy coming at some point. I think this was in our ideas lab. A few customers wanted this. So you can now generate the total comp statements by the hierarchy. So you just set the manager hierarchy choice list, and then which is just located above the individual person. And then you can, you can just, it gives you more control and also simplifies testing. Yeah, this is around individual comp. I'm sort of flitting around because I just sort of rearranged these in order of what I thought might be interesting. This is the individual comp plan, which is synchronized with the projected start date instruction in pending worker actions. So you can synchronize the payment start and end dates of individual comp plans with the actual start date. So, because people don't start on the day they plan to start. So this just adjusts based on the actual start date. So, for example, we've got a pending worker with a start date of 1st of Jan, and then they later revise that to February. When you get to the individual comp section, the payment will adjust to February to align with the new start date. And so they can also optionally delay the payment by a specific number of days, months, years, or whatever the combination is. So, and you can override it. So it's quite flexible. So there's 3 individual. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, that is pretty flexible. And then looking at the market data, we're actually I don't know how many people are using market data, but we have the ability to bring in market data and then expose it in the worksheets if we want the managers to see it, or in compensation area against the person to to show where they sit, and it can be down to location. And the composite is just where they're combining more than one salary survey data and then importing it in. And I think we're going to be doing this shortly, but using HCM spreadsheet data loader. So at the moment we're just using HDL, but and we're allowing position now, whereas we just did job code before. So I think it's either or. So it's just a bit more flexibility around that. I think we can see this more detail in if you use individual worker display within the workforce compensation area. Let's have a look. Some validations around grey step progressions, and don't ask me too many questions around grey step progressions. It's more of a core HR area subject, but it sort of falls into compensation. So they've just enhanced the validations that when you accept a manual transaction. So there's more information will be coming out about that when it comes out. And then defaulting the when date in the change salary flow. So you can specify whether to default a when date in the responsive change flow. So I'm just trying to think. I think that the other ones are a little bit more. I'll do a couple more. If there's a later salary existing, so after the proposed salary change date, we'll have a warning now. So say one or more future records exists. So if you propose a salary change that starts before then, you get a warning that your salary change is valid until the next salary, which has already been put in. So you may want to revise the later salary change too. So it sort of improves data accuracy, making sure the proposers are aware of future salaries when they're making changes. A bit more housekeeping around if you select a salary basis in the flows that create salary, the salary amount won't default to 0, so you can explicitly specify a value. So the flows are like hire an employee, add pending worker, add a contingent worker, etc., etc. So you can still view the salary ranges for guidance when the salary basis is configured with grade rates. Just basically to ensure data accuracy, I guess. I think we're almost. There's a bit more. I'll just do this a bit more about when you're doing setup. It just allow you to switch between planned setup tasks. It's coming rather than have to navigate back to the defined workforce comp task list and then go back in again. So just a sort of switcher within there. And I think that is probably enough. Actually, there's very small things that we're looking at doing as well. So I won't go into those, but hopefully that will be enough to keep you going. I'll stop the share if I can find the Zoom.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dave.
Just
if there's questions, Crystal, or from any of the customers, if there's things that they want follow up on, either drill down into why we're doing any of those things, just route them through you, and we will do our best to.
Yeah, we'll come back to you. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dave.
We do a more of a deep dive every with the Customer Connect series into these sort of things. So customers, please welcome to come along and see more information on it there.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to start sharing again. Let me just hop over here. All right. Can everyone see my screen? I'm going to send.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, great. So we are going to, Dave, thank you again for that information. That's great. David Bowen, thank you. And we're going to go ahead and jump into our benefits talk. And so Beth, I'd like to introduce Beth Blom. She's going to give you some wonderful information today, folks. Go ahead, Beth. Thank you.
Thank you. Today we're going to talk about open enrollment and things that you can do to prepare for open enrollment. It's no secret that open enrollment can be the busiest time of year for a benefits department. I know I was a benefit administrator and analyst for 15 years, and so it can be quite intense. But there are some steps that you can take early to help you with the open enrollment process. First one I'd like to point out is, determine if you're going to need consulting services or assistance for configuration and testing. Configuration and testing of open enrollment can be time-consuming and potentially complex, so it is important to have the resources with the bandwidth and the expertise that is needed for such a project. Get your renewal data as early as you can. Confirm those plan renewals, get your rates, determine if there's new plans or if there's old plans ending, if there's any changes in like certification rules, that evidence of insurability for life insurance, eligibility, all those kinds of things. try to get that data as early as possible because that really helps with the open enrollment planning process. Another step you can take is plan for a production to test or P to T refresh copy. It is important to get a clean copy to be able to test open enrollment in, so it's as close to production as possible. We always recommend that.
So Beth, can I stop you for a second? Do we want to do that? Do we want to make sure they're doing that prior to the new configuration? We want to make sure they're doing that afterwards. We want to do both, correct?
Yes, I do have a note at the end to do one afterwards as well, but I recommend doing one in the beginning prior to configuring open enrollment. So that's kind of the first step in the system, is getting that P to T so that you've got a good, fresh, clean copy of production to test on in the test pod.
Perfect.
Next up is data cleanup. Clean up old life events that are open, resolve old action items that have caused suspended benefits, and then just overall cleanup of your benefits data. This is really important and really helps you avoid potential issues when you're actually processing open enrollment in production with employees. If you have old life events that are open, it'll prevent open enrollment from actually processing and things like that. So it's really important to get your data as clean as possible. Make a plan for configuration and testing. So we do recommend planning on at least 6 to 8 weeks for configuration and testing, depending on your changes for the new year. And then leave time to resolve issues that come up during testing. I can't stress testing enough. Really test all of your rules. Test all of those, dependency rules, things like that, that even if you think are going to work fine, just test everything. Don't just go through a typical enrollment because odds are there will be an employee that will find an issue. So it's so much easier to find those issues ahead of time and have a smooth open enrollment. And then I also recommend, don't forget to test your payroll. Recommend testing your last check of the year and then your first check in the next year to ensure that your old rates and plans end when they should and the new ones begin when they should. Next is your Extractor interface files. Determine if you need any new files or updates to your current extracts. Those can also be pretty time consuming, especially if you need to create new ones. And many of your vendors will want you to test an extract before receiving a production file. So it's important to leave time for that. Reports, determine if you need any new reports or updates to current reports, and determine who's going to take care of that, whether it's going to be consulting service or if you have an in-house specialist. Post open enrollment activities. Plan who's going to take care of those tasks like reports, audits, the vendor files. Make sure to have a plan for all of those to be taken care of. And then the last step is to plan for another production to test P to T refresh at post open enrollment. This is important if you're going to have any issues, maybe with an employee enrollment at some point in the year, and then you'll have a record of what their open enrollment elections were in the test pod. It's just kind of a safe safety net for you when that happens. And then I just like to point out the timeline, open enrollment timeline on the right. It's just a suggested timeline, but it is something kind of to use as a starting point, and it's there to assist you in the planning process to give you an idea of when these different tasks need to be taken care of.
And obviously, Beth, that's for a typical enrollment timeline for folks that
Yes.
do it. If you have something like an off time that's different during the year, then we can certainly work with you to adjust that timeline based on what your actual needs are and what your company is currently doing. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. If there's an off calendar year plan, we can definitely adjust that as needed.
Okay. Would you like me to move on to the next slide, Beth?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about our white papers that we'll be releasing in the next couple of days. Beth, why don't you go ahead and just give high-level overview of yours right now, and I'll see if I can get Manoj's mic unmuted. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep. My white paper was the configure for new hires that cross plan years. Some of our customers have run into issues when a new hire starts at the end of one plan year, for instance, like December in a calendar year plan year, and the benefits don't start until the next plan year, for example, in January 1st. So when the employee is enrolling, they're seeing rates and benefits for the plan year that they were hired, December, and not the rates and plans that were effective when benefits will actually start. So this paper was designed to help you effectively produce those correct enrollment plans and rates when the event date and the actual event's benefit effective date are in different plan years for a new hire. So a new hire will see the correct plans and rates for the January benefits instead of December benefits. And so that's what that is the paper is designed to assist you with.
That's perfect. Okay. Manoj, can you go ahead and talk about yours?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, Crystal, can you hear me?
I can, yes. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. This is, okay. Let me go ahead and talk about this white paper for Oracle benefits on how to mass update pending action items. So this white paper details the steps on how to mass upload action items using the spreadsheet loader, which is available in the system, when there is no active live event for a given employee or for the organization as such. So this document gives the detailed steps as to how to achieve this particular functionality of uploading using the spreadsheet loader. This document also gives the input about how to use the spreadsheet loader, because like every spreadsheet loader we have in the system is a little bit different based on the kind of data which is getting inserted into the application. That's it, Crystal. Crystal, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yep. Thank you so much, Manoj. I really appreciate that. Okay, we're going to go on to the Oracle HCM Cloud 21C update highlights. Beth is going to kick us off, and then we will have Mo talk about the security pieces, and then Robert is going to give us a quick overview of the HCM Dataload updates. So Beth, go ahead. Thank you.
Sure. I'm going to go through a number of benefits updates for 21C. Some of these will potentially affect open enrollment or just what employees will see for open enrollment. So these are ones that I do recommend, some of them, to review before your open enrollment starts. One new update that's been in the process with Oracle and it's finally live is the self-report personal information on the renamed before you enroll page. So now an employee can self-report their personal information such as tobacco use, disability status, or coverage under another plan on a new rename page before you enroll, which previously was called people to cover page. This information must be entered before the life event's evaluated. And once the life event is evaluated, it'll assign and display the correct plans and or rates that may depend on this information. For instance, an optional life insurance policy that may depend if somebody is a tobacco user or not. Previously, a benefit administrator had to enter this information. So this is a nice feature for an employee to self-report. This feature does have to be enabled before it can be used. However, the name change to the page before you enroll will be delivered with 21C. There are a few enhanced self-service benefit pages also that we'll talk about here. One is the enhanced confirmation page, waive plans. So previously, when an employee opted out of a benefit by selecting a waive plan, on the confirmation page, the employee would see the waive plan and you under who's covered, even though they had opted out of that plan. Now with this enhancement, the who's covered section will no longer be displayed for a waive plan. And this will become enabled with 21C. The next is a view enrollment plans in an expanded state. So now this is also with the confirmation page. Employees will be able to view all their enrolled plans on the confirmations page in an expanded state. Previously, if an employee wanted to view all the details of an enrolled plan, such as like who was enrolled, coverage amounts, or coverage start dates, they had to click the to expand the section. Now all the plans will be displayed in their expanded state, so it's all at a glance for an employee on the confirmation page. And just to note, this feature must be enabled before it can be used. Another change is delete next change for rates. Previously, if there was an error made, such as like the effective date when someone was updating rates for benefit plans, it wasn't possible to delete that update. Now you are able to delete the next change made for rates, which will remove the last change created and restore the rates to what they were prior to the most recent change. This will come enabled with the 21C update. And the last item is the new savings plan calculators. Employees can use these new or use the new health savings account and flexible spending calculators to get a projection on how much they can save in taxes and how HSA contributions can grow over time. It is important to note with these calculators that they focus on potential tax savings and contributions over a period of time. It's not necessarily a calculator to determine new pay period values based on annual election and or year-to-date contributions. So these new calculators are delivered, enabled, and will be on tiles on the benefits self-service page with 21C. So this is one I really recommend that customers evaluate these once you do get 21C in a test pod to see if this is something that you would want employees to have access to, because it will be very visible during open enrollment. So that is my summary.
Beth, thank you so much for all that great information. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I'm going to turn this over to Mo. Do you want to go? Yeah. Hi, Mo. How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So Mo is he's gonna give us the rundown on some of the application and HCM security updates that are coming with 21C. So Mo, why don't you go ahead and take it away? Thank you.
All right. So hi, everyone. So today we're going to talk about the securing access for workers with multiple assignments. Basically, if your organization allow like multiple concurrent assignment, the current out-of-box behaviors support the person-based security, which means that a user having access to a person, it has access to all his assignment and personal information, like a relationship between a manager and an employee. The new assignment level security restrict a user access to a person assignment based on the user's area of access, which means in the release 21C, Oracle provides also further enhancement to the payroll OTBI reporting areas. This will allow the user to be restricted to only those assignments to which they have access to, and not all the assignments of that person just because they can access that person. An example of that, a worker has two assignments, each reporting to a different manager. The worker has, for example, document of records against each assignment. Each manager should only be able to access the document of record against the assignment they manage only, so they shouldn't see the other document of records for the other assignments. Also, each manager should only be able to run, for example, absence plan accruals reports against the assignment they manage. not for all assignments. An example of the OTBI areas that currently have this kind of multiple assignments security is the absence calendar, absence real time, accrual real time. For payroll, it's element entries, history, and costing setup. And that's the new feature for the secure access for workers with multiple assignments. Moving on to the other security items, which the first one is okay. So filters users based on assignment status in the roles auto provisioning job. So right now in the roles auto provisioning ESS job, we like Oracle introduced a new filter. And this filter is based on specific assignment status. So if this filter is selected, for example, employees who no longer work with the company, then all active users are processed. But if that filter is selected and you specify a specific assignment, then only this set of users will only be processed and selected. And then moving on to right now, also Oracle support for legislative data group role in auto provisioning ESS job. So this role auto provisioning capabilities is improved. Right now, we support the legislative data group attribute in role mapping. So basically, in the situation where the hierarchical structure is required for role auto provisioning, you can just select a specific legislative data group for the role mapping. And that's it.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And now Robert is going to give us the rundown on the HCM Dataload updates. Robert, are you there? Try that again, Robert.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, there you go. Perfect. Okay.
Perfect.
Great.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'd like to, I wanted to highlight some important updates that are now available, of course, in 21C for the HCM data loader. The first item here is there are reduced clicks now to submit your file. So you can now submit your file with just a single click on the import file page. The Submit Now button allows you to immediately submit your file without having to first navigate to the schedule request page to review the import and the load HCM parameters. And also the good news is you don't need to do anything to enable this piece. And the second piece here, messages can now be included in the failed lines file. So it's now possible to generate a zip file containing the file lines as well as the error messages for each business object that's failed to load in the data set. So this is done on the import and the load data page. So for this one here, for the messages, you do need to enable this, and there's some brief instructions in 21C. And then thirdly, the last item here, business object enhancements. To expand your bulk loading capabilities, business object enhancements, there's been quite a few that have been added to the areas of benefits, compensation, global HR, learning, and then also talent management. And there's quite a few with the global HR piece, which is great. Final note on this one is you don't need to do anything to enable this piece. And that is my summary.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So we are going to jump into a little bit of our wrap up here. So our next forum is going to be focused around payroll year end. I know that's a big one for a lot of folks. We're also going to talk about 21D highlights in our next session. We'll take any additional ideas or things you want to talk about. Obviously, I've included some of our links that are really important, I think. So 21C, all the new feature summaries, the Customer Connect, Oracle Learning Explorer, So if there are additional items that you want to talk through on 21C, we're happy to set up some time to do that, to review anything else that might be pressing or that you see coming up. So please feel free to reach out to us. Obviously, we're starting to reach out to all of you about scheduling time to start working through your open enrollment period and working on doing that planning with you. So if there's anything else, though, obviously let us know. Let me pop my video open here. Hi. Okay. And then I wanted to talk just very briefly. We are going to be exhibiting at OHUG this year. It's Ascend 2021. It's in Hollywood, Florida. We would love to see all of you there. We actually have a discount code for you if you do want to attend. I can pop that over to anyone who wants to get a crack at that. But again, we'd love to see you. We'll be at booth 42 while we're attending Ascend this year. And we'd love to see all of you out there. And also, if you can't attend, there's also a virtual attendee as well. So you can attend virtually also if you can't make it out to Florida. So we know how valuable your time is. We very, very much appreciate that. I just want to open it up to any of my other panelists. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add today before we close out this session? Bob or Pam, anything from you? Any final thoughts from David or Dave? Bob, did you have something?
Yeah, Crystal, thanks. Real quick, I just want to thank everybody for joining, and especially to David and Dave from Oracle for the compensation information today. That's very much appreciated. And I'll continue. David had mentioned something at the start of this that kind of reminded me of our offering around Oracle Digital Assistant. I know I've talked to a lot of you about that. If we have not, and you're interested in what ODA is and how you can take advantage of that, we've actually got a customer that's really close to going live with ODA. So please feel free to reach out to us if you'd just like some further information around ODA and our offering on how to stand that up for free. And then a couple of just quick shout outs, I think, that are appropriate. I'll probably not mention names, but we have a couple of long-term customers that are making the switch to Oracle Recruiting Cloud. One's live, one's really close to being live. So if you got any information, or if you want some more information about ORC and the recruiting component that's built into Cloud HCM, please don't hesitate to reach out on that. So I believe that's all I have. Thanks, Crystal.
Okay. Great, perfect. So one last thing, everybody. So for those of you who attended today, we are actually going to send you copies of the white papers that we're releasing in a couple of days on our website. So you'll actually have firsthand access to those. And then moving forward, we'll have a section on our newly launched eVerge website. We'd love for you guys to go take a look at that. I'll make sure that's included in my email to you, that you can see our newly launched website. And then the white papers will be available there moving forward, and you'll see a lot of information coming through in the future. So we're very excited about it. Again, thank you so much for attending today. We really appreciate everyone's time, and we'll see you September 30th for our payroll year-end session. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.